What if it was more than that? What if the guy, if he didn't make $1 million, he felt like such a loser. If he didn't do it this year, he'd commit suicide, because his whole life he had thought he was a loser, a loser, a loser. And there was way more than that superficial BS answer. So our job as a pro, see it for what it is and keep driving deeper until we are crystal clear on the real problem. Number two, the client has got to identify and acknowledge they have a problem too. They have got to be crystal clear that they have a catastrophic problem. If I didn't realize that that was a really bad break, I've had broken ribs before, I didn't realize that that one could get worse by being stupid. So I had to completely stop. Same thing with your client. They have got to understand it and feel that this is a really big frickin' problem. We do that through questions. That also, when we ask intelligent, powerful questions, which we'll get to, you're building rapport. So in the process of eliciting that, you go deeper and you build rapport by asking powerful questions. That also expands trust and it differentiates you from anyone else they've ever talked to. Why? Because nobody else had the skills to drive deep and find out what the real problem was.
Everybody get this, guys? So there's 3 outcomes. Number 1, you got to know what their problems are. Number 2, we want to shift their focus so that they start to focus on the problems too. And not just focus on them in a general way, but in a very detailed, very specific way. And once we do that, they start to feel the pain connected to it. And 3, by asking really great, really specific, really pointed questions, we demonstrate our expertise, but B, we also go deeper into rapport because we're asking really good questions and we're really, really, really listening to the answers. And people love to feel understood and listened to, okay?
Yeah.
So in order to do that, we use strategic questions to control the conversation. And here's the thing that you need to understand, guys. If you are asking the questions, then you are in control of the call. If they are asking the questions, then they are in control of the call, okay? Or if you're teaching or if you're explaining, if you're doing any of those things, then you are not in control of the conversation. So in order to get them to shift their focus, we use strategic questions. And so, guys, 99% of the time in the conversation, they should be talking. And that's another great thing about this system as opposed to some other systems. Some other systems are very pitch heavy. Like I'm busy talking and I'm 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 telling you all these wonderful things about my offer and I'm just running my mouth for an hour. It's exhausting. It is extremely tiring, extremely exhausting for you to do that as the salesperson. So the great thing about this is that they are talking the vast majority of the time and you're just asking really pointed, really intelligent questions.
Guys, it's that I hope you hear that because that is one of the better, oh, sorry, Jane. That is one of the better buyer defense strategies is that they want your information and they want the ability to get off the phone without making a decision. Yep. So if I can go ahead and get Russ back on his heels. Russ, how long have you been doing this? Who else have you done this with?
Oh, man.
Russ, how long about this? Well, let me ask you, where does it doesn't? Well, Russ, what about this?
It's game over at that point, guys.
Yeah. And so the thing about it, you want to make sure, guys, that you're in control. Hey, Russ, that's a great question, but I need to get a little bit more clarity first here. I'll get to that one too. But in the meantime, let's get back. How long has this been happening? And I want to recapture. That's a great question. I'll get to it. But first, I got to close the loop on this question. Let me ask you. And I get right back to following. I'm still not clear, Russ. How did you end up in this place? How long has this been a problem? Where else is this happening? And you'll find the power in that, and it's a very easy switch. But you always got to remember, if you are asking the questions, you're in control. If they're asking the questions, they're in control. The other thing you're going to find is there's another hidden benefit by asking questions. You can get them to talk themselves into buying. They will go ahead now, instead of you opening doors, every time you open your mouth, you're opening up a door. But when they're talking, number one, it becomes true. So if I keep probing and I keep saying, Russ, how's that affecting the marriage? How's that affecting your future? How does that affect you here? Where else is that doing? Do you have the freedom you want? Okay. How much time do you have to take away from your son? Boom, boom, boom. and I let him talk, pretty soon he's like, wow, wow, I didn't even think about that. And now it's present and it's real. So that's the sort of thing that you want to do it too, where they're coming in, and you have to just recognize, guys, you have to keep that. Now, the goal is not to, this is where some of the biggest mistakes that I hear. There's a couple things. Number one, the goal is not to go ahead and give them free information. They want that. They have a hardcore cancer in their life. Giving them a Band-Aid is when you give them free information. It'll give them just enough relief that they're not going to take action today.
Guys, that is a key distinction. And it's very important that you guys understand that, is that they think that what is missing is information. They think that the only reason they haven't solved this problem is because they just don't have that last little secret that's going to make everything click. Okay? And I can tell you right now, that is not the case. The reason that they have this problem is that they have not made the decision to actually do something about it. And so most people that are in information gathering mode, they're using that as a Band-Aid. They get a little bit of information. Oh, I learned something cool today. Great. I'm going to jump on that tomorrow. You know, they're the kind of people that go to Barnes and Noble and buy 5 different books about fitness instead of going and actually working out. You know, because it's like, oh, I'm going to find the perfect diet. I'm going to find the perfect fitness program. Okay, cool. I'll probably spend another couple months dabbling in this and doing some information. And, oh, maybe I'll jump on a call with Russ Ruffino because he's offering me a call. So I'm going to jump on a call with him and he'll probably have some really good information for me. Guys, they are never going to fix the problem. And we've all done this. You know, I'm not being judgmental because we've all done this. I am not in the best shape right now. I'm in pretty good shape. Could be in better shape. I'm looking right now at my bookshelf. It is covered with fitness books. Okay, so we've all done this. We've all put ourselves in information gathering mode. But that is not what we're here to do. What we are here to do for them, and the only way we can help them, is to get them to make a decision to fix the problem. Do you guys understand that? There's a huge difference between saying I'm going to learn something or I'm going to get an intellectual understanding of something and saying, fuck this, no more. I am done with this problem. I'm not going to be this person anymore. I'm going to do something about it. Where do I sign up? That's where we're trying to get them to go. And so if you are just giving them a bunch of free information, you're going to make them feel good. Sure. They're going to thank you for it. They're going to go, oh, this is great. Thank you so much. Then they're going to get off the call and you're not going to make a sale and they're not going to do anything.
And the real problem is they don't ever solve it. So
Ever.
You're actually not serving them.
Mm-mm.
And it's really tempting because if you care anything about your fellow man, you hear that they're in some pain and your immediate response, if you're not aware of this, is, oh, hey, Russ, it's not that bad. Hey, you know, you're doing better than a lot of people, Russ. Hey, you know, and we start wanting to soften it. We want to do that. And hey, Russ, here's what you could do right now. And I start moving into consultant mode, solving mode, softening mode. You just killed the sale and you didn't help him. The reality is I need to go ahead and drive deep and resist my temptation to try and soften, and I'm going to drive deeper. Russ, how long have you been trying to get ahead of your health? What's going to happen if we don't do something? Tell me about your family history. How do you feel when you're not in your best shape? And I keep probing until I find the pain at a point where it's real now. If he doesn't feel the pain now, he will not buy now. And so you have to keep driving on that.
Does everybody get this? Do you guys have any questions about this? Because this is the biggest distinction, guys. And this was the hardest thing for me to learn. Because when I started getting on the phone with people, my natural instinct took over and I wanted to make them feel better about stuff. That's what we do. Oh, my business isn't working. Oh, don't worry about that. We'll sort that out. Here's what you got to do. Just, you know, do this, do this, and do this. Sound good? Yeah, Russ, that sounds great. Thank you so much. Okay, awesome. You want to sign up for my program? Well, no, I'm going to go try this and then I'll get back to you. Like, you know, we've all done this, guys. And the worst thing about it is that, you know, again, it's not just that it kills the sale. It's that every time I ever did that with someone and I reached back out to them 6 months later, none of them had ever taken my advice. They had never done what they were supposed to do. And they were all continuing to suffer. So there's a huge difference between giving someone some information and making them feel better and actually bringing them to a point of decision. And our job on this call is to bring them to a point of decision. No more excuses, no more rationalizations, no more bullshit. They're real about the problem and they make a real decision to either do something about it or to keep suffering. That's it. So that's what we're after here, guys. And so in order to do that, we use these strategic questions, and just said the goal is to get them real about their problems and what it's costing them not to solve them. And again, they should be talking for 95% of the call. So here's the first question. Once we go through the rapport phase and we've got that connection, and then we frame the call, just like Mark explained, you're framing the call. That part was really awesome. We go into the questions. And the first question is always this: what's not working in your business? And for those of you guys that don't have a business offer, it would be like, what's not working in your relationship, or what's not working with, whatever the area of their life is that you help. You want to put the focus right there. What's not working in your business? And guys, that puts the focus right onto the problems. And it also, for those of you that might have noticed this, it lines up perfectly with the doctor frame, right? We talked about this last week. Guy walks into a doctor's office. The first question is, tell me where it hurts, or tell me why you came in, or tell me what's wrong. And if the guy said, oh, no, nothing's wrong, everything's cool. I just felt like going to the doctor's office today. How are you? How are you doing, doctor? Like, it's ridiculous. It would never happen. And it's the same thing on these sales calls. Like, they're on the phone with you because they have a problem. And so why screw around? We get rapport, we get the connection, we frame the call, and then we get right to it. What's not working in your business? Tell me what's wrong. Tell me what's not working. And if you have rapport, they're going to start to open up. They will start to tell you what is not working. They'll start to tell you the reasons that they reached out. And so that lines up perfectly with the doctor frame. And right away, we want to know right where it hurts. Mark, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, the one thing I would add, guys, this is so powerful. And really the only way you can screw this up is if I start trying to solve it right there. If I go, oh, Russ, oh, okay, so you do it. Now he's coming forward and he's starting to get honest. If I immediately jump in and I start offering any type of solution, any consulting, I just lost it. I don't go there yet. I probe. I get curious. I continue to ask those questions. I'm uncovering the problem. Even if you're 1,000% sure what the problem and you have a solution right now, you don't go there.
Absolutely. And this, guys, too, like Mark said this before, and I'm not sure, but this is where this comes into play. If a guy comes into your doctor's office, if a guy walks into a doctor's office and the doctor doesn't do the tests, that's malpractice. Mark walks into the office and the doctor says, hey, where does it hurt? And Mark goes, my ribs hurt. And he's like, oh, great, here's some heroin. This will make you feel better. It sends you on your way. That's malpractice. So you've got to do the work of going deep into the problem so that you can find out what is wrong and get the details and get the information. And if you don't do that, on some level, the customer knows that you're full of shit.
Yeah.
How can you possibly be prescribing a solution or offering a solution when you haven't taken the time to really understand the problem? So doing this part is essential. It is unskippable. You cannot skip this part. You've got to know. And if you do skip it, it's malpractice. It really is.
Yep. The other one, sometimes I'll even find myself muting because it's so tempting to want to jump on it. It's like, I'll hear that. I was like, oh yeah, okay, I got, but I have to keep probing. My job here is to be curious and keep probing, find more problems. Even if I know the answer, it is not the right place. It's like putting on the frosting while I'm mixing up the eggs, the batter. Frosting comes at the end. The solution comes at the end. Right now, I'm just mixing my ingredients. Is everybody clear on that?
Everybody got that? That's real important.
Awesome.
Cool. Okay. So we ask that question, what's not working in your business or what's not working in your relationship, whatever it is, and we let them talk. And guys, if you have rapport, a lot of the time, Mark, tell me if I'm wrong, but a lot of the time I have people just talk for like 10 minutes.
Yep.
Well, what's not working in your business? Brrr, they just start like going off. And that's because you have a good rapport. They feel comfortable. They want to tell you what's going on because they want help. And so they'll open up to you. And as they are talking to you, you are writing down the exact words and phrases that they use to describe their problems. So I'll write, you know, the person's name at the top of the sheet, just like we talked about last week. Visa, MasterCard, the key phrase that you're going after, all the stuff we told you to write at the top of your page. But then I write problems, colon, and I just let them talk, and I just start to list the problems. And if, as best I can, I try to write them down in the exact words and phrases that they use. And then once we let them answer that question and we don't interrupt, we just let them go, 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 go. And they're going to tell us the problems that are at the forefront of their mind. But then once we've done that and we've kind of let them talk, we follow up using strategic questions. Because chances are when they answer that question, they're going to give you a very superficial overview of the problems. You know, hey, Russ, what's not working in your business? Oh, man, right now, I don't know, man. I feel like things are okay, but like we don't have enough leads coming in and, you know, and it's a big problem. Okay, great. We can't leave it there. We have to go deeper. And our goal here is to completely explore all of the problems and all of the ways that they're hurting. So this is how we craft the strategic questions, okay? The first thing that you're going to do is you're going to brainstorm problems. And we'll talk about this more at the end of the call when we kind of give you your action steps. But you're going to brainstorm the problems. What are the top 10 problems that your offer solves? Okay? And you're going to brainstorm and write down what those are. Then you're going to brainstorm the symptoms. So for each of those problems, what are the top 5 symptoms? So I'll give you an example, right? One of the big problems that we solve with clients on demand is lead flow, right? So the big problem might be not enough leads, okay? And so what are the symptoms? What are the questions we can ask to uncover that problem, right? So if I'm on the phone with Mark and I say, hey, Mark, what's not working in your business? And he goes, oh, I don't have enough leads. I'm going to start drilling down. Okay, great. Exactly how many leads did you get last week?
I got, well, last week I was busy, so I didn't get as much time, Russ. So last week I only got 1.
You got 1 lead last week.
Yeah.
And did you actually close that person or no?
No, they aren't ready to make a decision. They want to think about it.
Okay, so you had 1 lead come in last week and they didn't make a close. So no. Did you make any sales at all last week?
No.
Okay, so last week there was no income coming in.
No, yeah, last week was bad.
All right, what about the week before that?
The week
how many leads did you get that week?
The week that was I was really busy that week too, so I only had like 2 that were word of mouth. So I got two people that week.
Did you close either of them?
No, but one's really said that they're interested.
Okay, so that's 2 weeks that went by, no income coming in the door, yeah? Or
right.
No new sales coming in the door. Okay, so the people that you spoke to, did you feel like they were good, ideal clients, or were they not ideal clients?
Well, no, they wanted it a little bit cheaper than what I wanted to charge.
Okay. So tell me about your pipe. I mean, so it sounds like you don't have a pipeline right now. Like you don't have a consistent flow of new leads coming in the door. It's kind of just sort of catch as catch can, people coming in from word of mouth or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Okay. All right. So you see how I went from the big problem of not enough leads to drilling down into what are the specifics of that? Does everyone see that?
And the buyer's defense to try and make it seem like it's not a big deal. That's
right.
Instinctive too.
Exactly. So he came in with a rationalization of, oh, I don't have enough leads, and oh, it's not that bad, or oh, last week was busy or whatever. So the way that we overcome that, guys, is we drill down into the exact numbers. Exactly how many leads did you get last week? Oh shit. Well, I only got 1. And this is the same thing, guys, that like a personal trainer will do when you come in for your first session, if they're good and they know what they're doing. You know, well, what are your fitness goals? Oh, well, you know, I'd like to lose 10 pounds. I feel like I'm in pretty good shape right now. You know, I feel pretty strong, but I don't know. I can maybe lose 10 pounds. Okay, let's put you on the scale and see where we're at. Oh man, you're 320 pounds. What did you say your goal weight was? You know, and then like, oh, here's your body fat percentage. Like getting down to the numbers, okay? So we're getting down to the exact numbers. We're uncovering the problem. And here's the other thing that's happening, guys, is as I ask Mark questions, he is getting more and more and more uncomfortable. And that's a good thing. We're peeling away the layers of BS to get to the just bare truth of the problem. And the bare truth of the problem is that he doesn't have enough leads coming in the door. And he got 1 lead last week and he got 2 leads the week before and he didn't close any of them. That's a big problem. That's like saying I own a restaurant And last week, one guy came into my restaurant and didn't order anything. And then the week before, two people came in and they didn't order nothing either. That restaurant's got problems. So by drilling down into the specifics of what's happening, I'm not just getting clarity for myself as a coach. I'm getting him clear on what is really going on. So let's try the next one. So that's one example. Here's another one. Let's say the guy says he's working too hard. Mark, why don't you do this one with Jane?
Sure. So Jane, let me ask you, currently, how are you delivering your service right now?
One-on-one.
Okay, got it. So when you're doing it one-on-one with the client, how many hours a week are you doing one-on-ones right now with your clients?
About 30 one-on-ones a week.
Okay, 30 one-on-ones. How many of those do you need to reschedule because they don't show up?
Not too many.
Okay, how many specifically would you say last week?
Maybe 2.
Okay, is that pretty common?
Yeah, I mean, people usually show up for me.
Okay, got it. So you're working doing 30 hours. Is it 30? Each one's an hour long, your call?
Yeah, about 45 minutes, yeah.
Okay, got it. And so in terms of that, are you able to, so obviously you're not able to build your business when you're doing one-on-one as well. Is that part of the challenge?
Yes, that's definitely part of the challenge.
Okay, so the other part too, let me ask you as well, what else is that costing you if you're spending all your time doing one-on-ones? Is that affecting you in terms of the amount of free time you have?
Well, yeah, it's really affecting me more, like shifting gears and working on doing, really leveraging my business so it's not one-on-one, because I'm so busy working, I'm not creating what I really want to be doing.
Correct. And what do you really want to be doing? Certainly not one-on-ones all day long. What do you want to be doing?
More group programs for sure.
Okay. And what would happen if you were doing group programs versus the one-on-ones?
Well, yeah, I would definitely have a lot more time, and I'm imagining it not being so tiring at the end of the day.
Exactly. I was going to ask you about that. Isn't it exhausting to be, because as a coach, don't you need to be thinking like 2 and 3 and 4 steps ahead of the client at all times?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy for me because I've been doing it for so long. So I feel like it's easy in the sense that I can do it with my eyes closed, but it is very time consuming to be on and can be draining just to be on the phone all day long.
Yeah, I would agree. I remember Hilton said the hardest thing to do is think why so few people do it. So if you're coaching all day, I would assume, I don't spend that much time, but does that also take its toll? So when the kids get home, you're pretty mentally zapped?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
When it's time to be off the phone, I'm like, I have a couple more hours in me to be with the kids, and then I'm done. I'm like, don't talk to me. I'm going in my room and closing the door.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's not what you intended with your life, your dream life. Is that the real energy about why you want to go into group coaching?
Exactly, yes.
How long can you
That
continue?
and money-wise, too.
Yeah, okay, so we can expand on that too. So in terms of that, let me explore that. So you had mentioned as well that the money, what's the biggest problem of doing a one-on-one?
Well, you only have so many hours. You can only take on so many clients.
Exactly. Okay, but guys, do you see how I can keep probing? I could go on that, keep going on that, and I've got tons of leverage now. But I don't accept that, okay, that 30, oh, okay, you're doing 30. I now know that in Jane's case that she's mentally exhausted. She can no longer be the best mom. I could now explore that's leverage. It's also the truth. I don't know about you, but now all of a sudden, that's why, she's quicker to kick the dog. That's why she's not going to be as happy. That's why she's not going to want to go do it, because she's mentally using her energy. So if I needed more leverage, I could continue to explore. I could also now explore, because it's in the natural flow of the conversation, the next one, which is cash flow. So now I can explore cash flow. So Jane, let me ask you, let me get real specific so I can make sure that we can support you. When you're working, how much, if you're doing 30 sessions a week, how much are you earning for that? How much do you get per session?
I guess I don't really mark it out that way, but I would say a couple $100 because it depends how I'm usually charging in packages, but yeah, a couple.
Okay, so you're doing 30 sessions there, so you're making roughly 3,000 a week. Would you say, do you average about 12,000 a month?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay, got it. So is your dream? What do you want it to be?
50,000 a month.
Okay, got it. And do you see how that you can't close that gap because you don't have enough hours in the day?
Yes.
Okay, so then let's explore then in terms of that. Obviously, living in Massachusetts, or as we call it, Taxachusetts, you're probably only keeping, my guess is 4,000 to 7,000 of that. Is that correct?
I don't know.
Well, it's you and we both share the heavy tax states. I'm in California, you're in Taxachusetts, so they're the two higher tax brackets. So in terms of that, though, it seems like a lot of work to be going at 4,000 to 7,000 a month.
Yes, I agree. I definitely need to start doing more group work to free me up.
Yeah, how long can you continue to sustain it? Now, granted, you're doing better than some coaches, but that's not your dream, and it's costing you both time and mental energy with your family and your real dream. How long can you stay doing only 4,000 to 7,000 a month gross or net?
Well, I think the key is I can stay there. It's just not where I know I could be. You
Right.
know, like, yeah.
So why now? Why not just stay there? Why not see somebody else go and do it?
Well, I think the big thing is that there's no way, as long as I keep doing it this way, there's no growth. It'll continue to stay this way. So, I'm at the point now where I'm getting that nothing else is going to change unless I start kind of leveraging that out and seeing more people. And the only way to see more people is to be doing group.
Exactly. And what's been preventing you from building a group program other than the fact that you're spending all your mental energy coaching one-on-one?
Yeah, time and knowing exactly how to structure it all.
Okay, got it. Guys, did you realize how we were able to now start chunking down and getting very specific? And for one person, if you think 12K is a lot of money, that's a belief. If you introduce that into the conversation where you think that's a lot because you only made 5, you'll never be able to enroll her in your dream to get to 50. So to her, she's not on the call if she thought 12 was okay. There's something there that I got to keep probing. I already now know she's going to be mentally exhausted. I could tell she's a little bit kind of sugarcoating that one, but at least I know the issue. I know what's preventing her. She doesn't have time because she's spending her mental energy just keeping that 12K going. And she also doesn't have the know-how. And you have to keep driving deeper and deeper and deeper. And I got to why now? I could, if I want to, I can probe even deeper on the why now. And I'm saying, hey, Jane, let me ask you, how long can you do this? What happens when the kids require more time? If you don't build it now, what happens? What if somebody else captures that market space that you want to go to when you build a group and you do it and it's too late? But I need to use those questions. I have to use those questions until, guess who now has clarity? I have clarity, and so does Jane.
So Jane, did you feel your focus starting to shift as you were answering those questions? And I know you're just like pretending because you're not talking to people one-on-one 30 hours a week. But as he started to ask those questions, did you start to feel an emotional connection to what he was saying?
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely, there was no room to go sideways. Like you couldn't run from the answers because they're so specific.
Right.
So it's like you had to really because I was putting myself in those shoes of like pinpoint like what's the problem. Like there was no hiding, and so when you talk about it, it's like uncomfortable.
Right. And that feeling, guys, is as you ask these questions, that's what we said before about shifting their focus, where they start to get that emotional energy. So it stops being just like, oh yeah, I could lose a few pounds, and starts getting into like, oh, okay, this is something I really got to deal with. And you're not telling them that. You understand? You're just asking strategic questions so that they come to that conclusion themselves. And everything they're telling you is true, and everything they're telling you is rooted in the data. You're asking questions about data, about facts, but those facts have an emotional weight to them. And just by answering your question, they're going to start getting emotionally connected to what they're talking about. Do you guys understand that? So this is so powerful because we're not browbeating anybody, and we're not like, you're not sitting there telling them, oh, well, if you don't sign up for my program, your life's going to suck. Like, you're just asking questions about what's going on with them, and you're really, really listening, and you're really exploring the issue with them. You understand? And as you do that, they're starting to go, okay, wait a minute, this is a real problem, and there's some real stuff going on. So the key, guys, is just to ask questions until you've thoroughly explored the problems and get specific details and avoid generalities. And like I just said, that changes the client's focus. And it's just, as a human being, it is very difficult to talk about your problems in a detailed way without starting to feel the pain. And that's what we want in the call, because by getting them clear on what's going on, that's the first step to getting them to make a decision to do something about it.
Hey, Russ.
Yeah.
I also want to go, did you guys notice how every question led to the next?
Sure.
So it's like, guys, it sounds and feels like a normal conversation. And that's the way that you do this without it feeling like a sales presentation, even though you saw all those questions that were right there. Not enough leads. Okay, so how are you dealing with it? Okay, so you're working too hard. What's the problem of working too hard? Who else? I'm like a detective. How is that affecting her family? How is that affecting her health? If I didn't get it there, how's that affecting your future retirement? I keep probing until I do it. Then I get into cash flow. I don't assume that $12K in Massachusetts is enough money. And so she wouldn't be on the call. And each question goes to the next. So let me explore that. Let me get a little clarity around that. Okay, so if that's the case, then how does that affect you here? But it's a natural conversation, very much like each question leads to the next. And it doesn't sound scripted.
Yep. All right, everyone got that? Does anybody have any questions about that before we move forward? Just type yes if you got it.
Okay, Sarah said she had a question.
Yeah, sure, Sarah, go ahead. Sarah, you can unmute yourself too if you don't want to type it.
Right, that's quicker. Hey guys, This is so good. As you're talking, I'm like, oh my God, I've been doing all these things. I've been like buttering them up. Like I didn't even really mean to. It's just crazy.
It's automatic, right? You just can't. It's like it's like as a human being, it's automatic. But we have to fight that, you know.
Yeah, and it makes so much sense. Like the way you're framing everything, it just makes so much sense. So my question is, like, I can really see how, like, we've got the problems, like, what are the top 10 problems that the offer solves, and then the symptoms, like, what are the top 5 symptoms for each problem? Do you have and then, Mark, you were saying how you were leading each question sort of into the next question. So the question is, how do you structure, like, once you've come up with these, is there a thought process or a way that you structure which problem you dig into first, and like of these 5 symptoms, which one you ask first, as I'm creating my own problems and symptoms? Well,
normally, and Mark, I'm sure Mark has something to say about this too, but normally what will happen is I will ask that first question, what's not working in your business? Or your offer is about dating, right?
Yeah.
So you might say something like, what's not working in your love life? They will bring up certain problems, and those are the ones that I'll explore first.
That makes so much sense.
In the course of exploring those problems, that might lead us to other problems and other things that are going to come up, and then we can explore those too. But I'll let them set the course of the conversation, and that's cool because it makes it really natural. He's on the phone with you because he's got problems with X and Y and Z, so that's the first thing you ask him about. And then if A and B and C come up in the course of that conversation, you can explore those avenues too. So what I'll have, guys, is the reason I've got you coming up with 10 different problems is that those problems are like an arsenal of the most common problems that you're going to hear. And you've got follow-up questions already ready to go for each of those problems. And so on any given sales call, I may not get into all 10, you know, and they bring up 4 problems that they're really, really concerned about. We'll explore those 4 problems. And if I sense that this guy's clear on his problems, he's emotionally connected to his problems, he's really, really feeling it, we'll move on to the next step. And I won't get into all 10.
Right. Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Sure.
I would agree with what Russ says. The other part too, when I recap back to him, and I'm going to talk to the client, and all of a sudden I'm repeating back, he feels heard. He feels trusted, and he feels, wow, this guy's really here. Now, guess what? If he's giving me fluff, I don't call him out saying, that's bullshit, Sarah. That's a bullshit question. I'm going to probe and steer and lead. So I'm going to say, okay, so what I hear you saying, Sarah, is this. Let me ask you, does that also affect their relationships? Does that also affect their confidence? If they're not as confident, does that affect them in the boardroom and the bedroom? Okay, so does that affect their income? I just want to get some clarity. So I can ask a question if I need more clarity, because it's one of the two goals. And don't be surprised if somebody shows up thinking the problem is A, when in reality, after you ask the right questions, the real problem is C and D. And so, but I let it feel like it's, hey, this is exactly what Russ just asked me about. And I question it until we get real clear. And then when I'm done, Russ is going to think, wow, that's exactly my problem. But just like me and my ribs, I thought I heard it sleeping on it. It wasn't. I'm the expert. If the doctor was the expert, he needs to ask the real questions to get the real problem. But it's like, I sure went in. The doctor's not going to argue with me when I walk in and saying, oh, you're an idiot. You probably have a broken rib. He's going to say, okay, well, let's explore that. So you're here because of rib pain. Okay, so how long? How did it happen? Where else has it hurt it? Do you have a history? Da, 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 da. He goes through those questions. Same thing that you're going to do. You're going to go through, okay, so you know he's on the call because he has relationship issues. What's not working in your dating life, in your love life? And he's going to talk. He might know his problem. He might not. He might know it and not trust you enough yet to share it with you. He might have erectile dysfunction. Who the hell knows? But if you build rapport, you will know every real problem once he knows he can trust you. So
yeah. I love it. Yeah, it's really good. And I really see how like they have to feel the discomfort of what's going on. And also it's kind of like, it's uncomfortable, but it's kind of like also a high. It kind of feels good to really see things clearly. So it's not like only unpleasant. It's like, it's painful, but it's also like exciting because, you know,
it's transformational. And the people, the comment that I hear, that Russ hears, our team here all the time, wow, that's a great question. I didn't even think of that. Wow. That's powerful. You're right. I didn't even think of that. And all we did is ask a question. I'm letting them have the realization.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you guys.
Even on relationship, how does it feel when your buddy gets a date and you don't, and you stayed home another Saturday night? And how does it feel when he's coming and telling you about his love life and how much sex he's having? What does that really feel like? Because you know you're not. You're watching reruns of The Big Bang Theory. And it's like, you know, that's the kind of thing too, though, that I do that through rapport. Let me find out what is the real pain it's causing him. He might be getting older and realizes that if he doesn't get married soon, he's never going to get married. He's got a lifetime of being alone ahead of him. And that's his big fear. So you just explore that.
Yeah, and he'll tell you. All right. So the third step, guys, is, and again, we're going to be doing an entire session just on each one of these steps. So if there's things that you guys don't understand, don't worry about it. We're going to do a deep dive into all of these. So we get them on the phone, we get in rapport, we build that connection, we build that trust. You know, we set the frame for the call. We ask them what's not working in their business or their relationship or whatever. We ask really, really great follow-up questions. They're getting connected to the pain. They're starting to realize, hey, there's a serious problem here. And then we move to step 3, which is to size up the client. And in this phase, we have 3 outcomes. Number 1, we want to decide if the client is somebody that you want to work with, because we have standards, right? We don't just work with anybody. So that's the first thing we want to do, is make a decision. Hey, do I even want to work with this guy? Number 2, you want to get the information that you need to develop a game plan. And you may already have it by this point, so there may not be too much else you need to ask, but if there is additional stuff you need to ask, you're going to do it here. And then number 3, we're going to get the client to decide to fix the problem now. So this phase, guys, can actually be pretty short. And in most of my calls, it is pretty short, because there's only a couple things that I need to know about somebody that to decide whether or not I want to take them on as a client. But this phase is here because this is where you get to make the decision. Hey, is this somebody that I want to work with, or is this somebody I don't want to work with? Okay. So at this point, we've already gone through their problems. So you already know that you have problems that they can solve, but what you may not know is whether or not they're worthy of your program. So it's very important to have standards. You've got to have real standards for who you will work with and who you won't. And it needs to be an actual physical list. Okay? The people that we work with at Clients on Demand, they have to be coachable. They have to be just like cool people. So if right on the call, right, at this point, if I'm getting like a combative vibe from somebody, even if we're in rapport, if they're like testy and I just feel like they're going to be a pain in the ass, I'll end the call right here, because I understand that this is a group program. And when you get someone into your group program who is toxic or in a victim mentality or whatever, that's going to affect the learning experience of the other people there. They're going to be a pain in the ass, and they're going to be a pain in the ass, not just from me, but for the other people in the program. And I don't want them there. So you've got to have an actual list, a real list of your standards of who you will work with and who you will not. And if you don't have that, guys, the person on the other end of the call is going to feel like, oh, this person just wants my money. This person will work with anybody. It's the same thing as if you're on a date with someone and you get the feeling, hey, this person, they just want to hook up. They'll sleep with anybody. I mean, I might as well not even be here. You know, it's a terrible feeling. And you can give people that feeling on the call too if you don't have real standards. So at this point, you want to think about what questions do you need to ask to determine if they fit the bill, right? So you need to understand, okay, what are my standards? And then what questions do I need to ask to figure out if they meet my standards? So like one of my standards for Clients on Demand is I only work with people that are good at what they do. So at this point in the call, I start to ask people questions about their success rate. You know, how good are you at getting this outcome? How many people have you helped? You know, that kind of thing, so that I can begin to ascertain if this person is for real or if this person kind of sucks at what they do. Because just as a personal ethical thing for myself, I can help anybody sell anything, but I don't want to help someone sell something that's bad. Like it just doesn't feel good. So at this point, I want to figure out if they're good at what they do or not. So you want to be clear about what your standards are, and you want to ask questions that'll let you know if that person meets your standards or not. Mark, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, guys, this is, I can't stress this one enough. This is one that cost me, by being arrogant on this and ignoring this point, probably cost me $100,000 to $1 million in lost revenue. Why? Because I had been told this 30 years ago and I blew it off. And I remember going in and meeting with a guy, and sure, I made like 40, 50 grand in a weekend by selling the house. But the guy, the owner, was a complete jerk. He cussed me out when I brought the offer because he was so pissed off that I was going to make this much money. He had no problem. You know, he was a jerk when I signed the listing. He was a jerk when I paid to get his house cleaned. He was a jerk when I get paid to get his pool cleaned. He was a jerk. He was a jerk every step of the way. And he continued to be a jerk. It stole my joy from wanting to do what I was great at. So I did the bare minimums. I'd make 30 grand a month and call it quits, where I could have been making 100,000 a month back in the 80s, because it wasn't worth it. And if you find yourself settling on this, working with anybody that gives you a credit card, you're going to also have to deal with all of the jerks who are going to threaten you on Facebook or on the internet. They're going to threaten you with the credit card company. They're going to make your life miserable. So do yourself the favor and honor this statement. The other part is, imagine going to a doctor's office. Oh, no, come on, please, Russ, let me help you. Come on. No, I really can. No, Russ.
No, I'm out of here.
Yeah, no, I really want your business. Russ, let me do it. I know I'll give you a bonus. Russ, come on. You'd be losing so much respect, and it now makes your entire doctor frame incongruent. You gotta, guys, I kid you not. And also on a secondary note, can you really help them? And if you can't, then you also want to be in integrity and let them know that. Say, hey, I'd love to help you. However, I'm not an expert in that. Let me steer you over here to John Doe. He is an expert in that. Mm-hmm. I know Jessica's referred us several clients over to Clients on Demand because it wasn't her niche. She wasn't as good at what we do. She wins and the client wins because we have a phenomenal referral program. And the client was served in a big way. And so when you do that, you're aligning with the integrity of who you are as well. So you feel good about who you are. You want to pick up the phone the next time. And you also know that you're going to be able to serve the ones you can, and you know when you can't, because it feels like crap if you can't solve their problem. So we do all of our checking and qualification up front. And as I say, I would rather turn you down now than let you down in 8 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So we take it away. If we can't serve them and we know, boom, thanks for playing, but we can't solve that. And if they're not coachable, they want to argue, great, go do that with someone else. But we know our system. Same thing for your product. You're selling Mercedes and they keep selling you Mercedes suck, Mercedes suck, Mercedes suck. Well, great, you're not a Mercedes client. Don't waste your mental energy with somebody who does nothing but say Mercedes suck. And again, also ask questions. Why are you here then? Because I'm a Mercedes dealer.
Yep.
So just be aware of that, guys. And again, you want to protect your mental health, make sure you have standards. Do it, live it. I mean, I can't tell you, I mean, this is no BS. Russ all the time says, first question, are they cool? Meaning, do I like this person? It sounds really sophisticated, but it's powerful. And some of you I've told this to. Are they cool? Meaning, are these people I would love to connect with and have coffee when they're in town? Are these people I'm going to do everything in my power to serve? And if you can't answer that, where I don't like them and they don't like me, move on. Number two, in our case, do they offer real value? Is there a market for that value? Are these the guys that can really solve that problem for people? And three, are they committed to solving it for other people now? Because if they don't match up on those three, we can't help them, because they're going to fight us, they'll fight the client, and they're just looking for a free handout. So that's our standard. And you got to have it, and you love your life when you do. That's the part. Remember, this whole process was not just to sell a $5,000 to $50,000, $5,000 to $50,000 call in one call. The second qualifier on that was to also have them thank you for it. What would your world look like if everybody you enrolled in your company and your program was calling you to thank you, thank you, thank you? Sure. Andrea asked if I can repeat them. Number one, are they cool? Is this somebody I really like? Are we really connected? Number two, in our case, because we help people get leads in a pipeline and build a cold traffic pipeline for their business. So we need to know, can they deliver for the clients? Meaning, we're not going to take our skill set and go sell it for a bunch of money to a drug dealer. We would be then making the world a worse place. So we want to know, hey, does this person solve a big problem for humanity? Is humanity going to be better off when we help them fix their pipeline? Because we're the best in the world at that. And then third, are they committed to solving it for other people now? Meaning, some people talk a good game, but they won't do the work. And so if they're going to be lazy, they want us to do all the heavy lifting. And think about it at the gym. Russ has built the best gym in the world. He has the best trainers, the best equipment, the best nutritionists, the best strategies for any sport, the best in transformation. Russ even provides a shuttle for you to pick you up whenever you want. All you have to do is wake up and show up and lift. It's not Russ's job to lift the weight for you, and it's not Russ's job to go drag you out of bed. So we want to qualify that up front. If I think that you're going to be lazy and you want us to do the lifting, then you don't get in our program, period. So that's why we have a group of people that thank us daily. Go on our Facebook page. You guys see it. That's awesome. It makes you proud of who you are and what you do. So that's my 2 cents.
No, guys. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Do not just take the money. I mean, we have people who show up with us credit card in hand, and we turn them down all the time because they just don't meet our standards. So have your standards, take some time this week, and we'll talk about this in the action steps, but take some time this week to really think about what those are and write them down if you haven't yet, and then stick to them like glue. And then obviously, we mentioned this already, but who can you help? If there's any other additional information you need to know to find out if you can solve their problems, this is where you want to get it. So like for clients on demand, we want to know what their current pricing is. We want to know their current success rate. These are just things we need to know so that we can make the decision about whether or not we're going to work with them. And if you have questions like that, this is where you would ask it. And then once all of that is done, We've gone through the problems. We've explored the problems. I've asked them a couple other questions to find out if they're good enough for me to work with them, right? Once I know I can help the client, here's what we do. We recap the problems that they just told us about in their words. So, hey, Mark, okay, so let me just make sure I have all this straight, man. You told me that you definitely don't have enough leads coming into the business, right? Last week you got 1 lead. The week before that you got 2. You didn't close any of them. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
Now you also told me, and I'm just going to make shit up because we didn't explore this part. You also told me that right now you're charging $200 an hour, right? And you want to be charging $5,000 an hour. You told me that you're seeing clients one-on-one. You don't have any kind of a group program. That's making you nuts. You don't have enough time to spend with your kids. You said you wanted to go on vacation a couple months ago. You couldn't do it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you told me that, you know, you don't have any kind of a pipeline where you've got paid traffic coming in and you never know where the next client's going to come from. Now, do I have all that right?
Yeah, it's spot on.
Okay, great. I am 100% confident that I can help you solve all of those problems because, okay, and then I go into the next phase of the script, all right? That's what the recap looks like, guys. And if I had, you know, 45 minutes worth of exploring problems in front of me, that might have been a little bit longer, but in a nutshell, that's what it looks like. You recap the problems in their words and you get their confirmation that yes, those are the problems. And then you hit them with, great, I'm 100% confident I can help you solve all of those problems because, and then we go into the next part. Mark, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I love that, guys. This is so powerful. Because number one, by using their words, you're bypassing their buyer defense response. Number two, in addition to that, is I can also use those words and then also connect it to the truth. So Russ could say, and the reason you're on the call and why you want to fix it now is because you're sick and tired of underperforming. You're sick and tired of being alone. You can no longer stand another day earning only $12,000 a month because you know you're only keeping $7,000 a month because you know you weren't brought here on this earth to just get by. I can expand on it and connect it to whatever it is. And 99% of the time, you'll get somebody that says, yeah, that you nailed it. And when you have rapport, sometimes they'll even say, oh, Russ, you forgot this one. Also because my dad thinks I'm a total loser. I kid you not. They will give you more ammo.
Yeah, they'll chime in with more ammo.
And they all of a sudden go, yeah, my dad told me that if I don't go to college, I'm going to be a loser because he said I had to do college. And, oh, yeah, and my wife said that I'm not as successful as her girlfriend's husband. And I'm sick of it. I kid you not. That's what you get when you do a recap through rapport using their words, recapping it. And that is also a bridge to the next one. The key word on this, there's 2 of them, 100% confident. You heard Russ's tone. And the because frame. The because frame now justifies it. It bypasses the blockage and it explains why. And we start driving deep on that. I'm 100% confident we can solve all of those problems because bum, 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 bum. And it's like, damn, this guy knows my problem and now he has a solution. And it's like, that's where, if you think about it going up an escalator, this conversation should be increasing in intensity in a positive way. It should be crescendoing for the end. And now it's like, boom, oh, hell yeah, I'm 100%. And you could hear it even in Russ's tone. So now is when I'm sizing up the client and now it's go time. Now we sell the solution.
Yep. So Sarah, I just want to give one more quick example. Like for Sarah's offer, because she was pulling up to jump on the call a second ago. So your offer is about dating, right? So for you, this may sound something like this, and I'm just going to make stuff up. But so Brian, let me just make sure I've got all this straight. You were in a relationship with a girl up until 6 months ago. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, she broke up with you and she gave you some reasons, but you told me that you felt like those reasons were bullshit, right? You still, to this day, don't really understand what happened. Do I have that right? Great. Okay. And then since then, you made a Match.com profile, you've been on Tinder, and you've kind of been out dating, and none of them have really blown you away. And the ones that you were into, you felt like you were really nervous and felt like you might have blown the date a little bit, right? And then deep down, you're really not sure that you're ever going to get a girl like the one that you told me about before. And as every girl that you go out with, you're comparing every single one of them to her, and you're really concerned that you may not find a girl that good again. Do I have all that right? Great. I'm 100% confident I can help you solve all of those problems because, okay? So it may sound something like that, where you're giving them back the problems right back to them, and then you go right into that confident, that 100% confident statement. All right? So then we go into step 4, which is to sell the solution. Now in this part, we have 4 outcomes. Number 1, we want to present your offer as the best and the only solution to their problem. So they just got done telling you about their problem. They're making a decision to solve it. We have to just make it so that your offer is the fastest, quickest, and best way for them to solve the problem. You have to frame the value as being 10 times the investment that you're asking or more, and start to future pace some of the new possibilities. We have to enroll them in their dream, which is to simplify the payment process and annihilate objections. And then once all that's done and we've processed the payment, we want to button down the sale. We want to frame the journey, celebrate, reinforce their decision, and get them into some intelligent action. So Mark, go for it. Let's break these down for us.
Sure. So the first one is you need to present your offer. And I learned this the hard way. I would take people where I did everything perfect, and then I got here, and then I tell them, and then they'd say, hey, Mark, that's really great, but I want to check out 3 other guys. I want to check out 3 other realtors. And I was like, damn, I'm the one that took the guy from being a for sale by owner, not believing he needed a realtor. And now all of a sudden I won him over, but I wasn't closing the deal. And so I realized that I had to make sure that my solution presentation portion made sure that I eliminate any other possibility other than me. And it's the sort of thing too that, you know what, you might want to work with Brad Pitt's trainer to look like Brad Pitt in Fight Club. Well, guess what? You can't afford Brad Pitt's trainer, and Brad Pitt's trainer's not going to call you. I am. I need him to realize I am the only one. Tony Robbins is not picking up the phone to work with you. Eckhart Tolle is not picking up the phone to work with you. I am. And I need to make sure that it's crystal clear that I am his best and only solution. If you leave that open, you're in trouble. Because otherwise, you're going to find out that all of a sudden, oh my God, you were so amazing, Russ. This is really great, but I want to talk to 3 other people. Well, I know the other guy's charging 50 grand for crap. So I need to know that. Otherwise, I open the door for him with a new possibility, and he's going to now go to someone else. Or he's going to go somewhere cheap. He's going to want to go to $1,000 to $5,000 program, which is total crap because it's on outdated material. So I need to remember I'm the expert in this niche. In your case, Sarah, if somebody's going to go on a dating service or whatever, you need to realize you're not the only show in town, but you're his best option. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so you need to just be aware of the truth. They have other options. So make sure that when I repeat it, if all of you guys hold up 10 fingers right now, hold up 2 hands facing away from you. This is how you sell the solution. Right now, close the middle 2 on both fingers. So you should have 2 like I love yous and sign language or rocking, like you're at a rock concert. Pretend those are the 6 problems. You don't talk about all 10. You're framing back his solution as those 6. That's why you're the best. There's other people that might be able to show fingers 2 and 3, but you're the best at this. If I move them, the next guy might be the 3 outer fingers, 3 on the left, 3 on the outer right. That's the ones you might solve. Maybe it's only 2, the outer pinkies, but that's how you repeat it back to him. And you need to make sure the second step is make sure that you also frame the value as 10 times. You need to make sure that they realize that the cost they're already paying, and they're paying a price that is unacceptable to go through life alone without having somebody that you would die for is a crappy life. Now it might not be, but in that moment it sure as hell damn well be.
Yeah.
And that guy who's there, that's where he's living. I get it. It sucks. You're already living in hell. Let's get you out of it. So the value needs to be, that's the sort of thing too. There's a penalty for living in pain. He's paying it. Make sure that the value far exceeds, in our case, what we offer. It was my first question to Russ. How come you're charging so little?
Right.
our value is easily 10 to 100 times or more. It makes it real easy.
Yep.
If you want to have some fun, say, look, you're spending more than $5 grand a month on prostitutes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only kidding, but you see what my point.
So
there's a penalty for that, guys. Be aware of it. Go ahead, Russ.
I was just going to say, so the way that it works in practice is that we present your solution as the solution to the problems that I just told you about. And the way that we do that is to give kind of a high level conceptual overview, like Mark said, where if there were 6 problems that they were fixated on, we want to present our offer as the solution to boom, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And the way that we do that is we give them like a high level strategic overview. So I might say something like this.